Hi, my name is Mariana Lima. I'm from Brazil. I'm a psychologist, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about health and safety in the workplace. Have you ever heard about this guy, or you know who is him?
No, I don't know.
You know who is him?
Actually, I know.
Who's him?
Russell Horny?
Yes. Yeah, Jason Russell, right?
Yes.
And recently I was shocked when I saw his one news about him. He was the filmmaker of Connie 2012. It's about one dictator in Africa and kill children and make a mess and kill people and really bad. And he made this video, and his plan, the video was a viral video on internet. But what happened? People start to critique him, and then he started to get so personal, and he starts working too much about this. And his wife said in the interview, she said that even though he was at home, she spent like 2 or 3 days without seeing him. So he was in his office at home working too much, 14 hours per day, without eat anything, without drink water, without sleep. What happened? What do you think happened with him? Happened to him?
He was sick.
Yes. Yeah, he got a psychiatric
problem?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is really, really serious. I might say this is not the only reason. It's not only because he works too much, of course. People who has family history or mental illness like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder is easily to get this. So plus working too much without hours, without breaks, and he got this. And he was like with a confused speech and delusions and hallucinations. So he was talking like God. He was talking like God was talking to him, and he was talking. He was really talking things that don't make any sense. And one professor of psychiatry at University of Western Ontario, he said that it's a complex set of risk factors that can come together and push someone over the edge. So it's not only one factor, it's combined everything together, but it's really related with work.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So he was in his office, no food and water for 2 or 3 days?
Of course he was drinking water, but not the like we have to drink. He was drinking like when he was really, really having water, like this, and that's all. And eating not the meals we have to eat, like for proteins and carbohydrates. No. He was caring too much about his work, and he was eating only sometimes.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
He lost too much weight and everything.
Okay. Because I'm surprised that he would become sick after only 2 or 3 days.
No, this happened, for a while. He was so stressed because his video is too personal. If you see the video, he shows his family, his son and his wife and his life. And then he started to see many people talking about, I don't believe in you, it's a serious job, he's doing more than 10 years, and people said, I don't believe, but it's your right, believe or no, right? But then he took so personal, and he got upset, he got stressed because he's doing this job, and he didn't feel like hungry or something like this, because he was really into the job and stressed too much.
So I was just curious, it's a very interesting story. So did he get sick because of the work he did on the Connie video, or was it afterwards because of people's reaction to the video?
Combined.
Combined?
Because when people start to talk, to make critiques about his job, he started to working more.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So he was really into the work and nothing else. Even his family or son, he didn't even care only about this. Even him, his health, he didn't care about this.
Okay.
So he was really, it's not because of his job, no, because many people work in different jobs and they have the same thing. It's because your relation with your job.
I see, okay. So it's that combined with history of mental illness in his family?
In his family,
Oh, okay.
yes.
So, I see. Just wanted to be clear.
This is part of my presentation, my lecture. But I want to ask you guys, where are we now? Yes. Specifically sitting in this chair, right? Do you feel comfortable?
No.
No? Guess that you have to stay sitting in the same position for more than 8 hours. Every single day, 5 days per week. So, when we talk about chair, design of the chair, we don't care too much because it's something that we look and say, no, this is common in my office, this is common in my daily life. But for this chair be built was really, really, really hard because people get hurt and back pain and neck pain, all kinds of pains, and stay seated all day during many, many hours to work. This is not good. So nowadays we can see chairs like this, and you can rest our back, we can rest our arms, and we can adaptable for our legs, right? For people who has short legs or people taller. So this we can see in the, actually we don't care too much, but this is a really good change, really a big improvement for health and safety. Light, another thing that I never think about. Nowadays we have this white light. And what do you think is the difference in yellow light and white light?
I think orange light is more soft, more safe.
This?
I have opposite opinion, more uncomfortable.
White light is good for reading letters.
Yeah.
There's a
They
lot
have
of
to do with
different
moods,
opinions.
with the mood.
Yeah.
Like I have a personal experience of lights. If my place is a lot lighter, my moods are a lot brighter. Like if they're too dark, like the yellow lights, you know, like the moods are a little gloomy. So I don't know.
Which one is white light, you said?
The fluorescent?
This is
or
for
brighter.
bright light?
Yeah.
Brighter.
Is that the same as fluorescent light?
Yeah,
Oh, the blue one.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this is the yellow one. The oldest one. So if you stay in the working for many hours in this this light, your eyes will become tired.
Yeah.
Yes. And you make more effort to read or to be awake, right? And this light is brighter. Like this, we can see many things. Of course, with this you can see many things too. But I mean, your eyes don't feel tired easily. So it's a small thing that it's really small that we don't realize in our daily life, but it makes a really big change. And everything that I told here about Jason's case, chairs design, and light, color of the light, and also computer screen, everything is related with occupational health and safety. And what is that? Occupational health and safety, the goal is provide a safe and healthy environment. When I say environment, I'm not talking about only employees in a company. I'm talking about people from communities. We talk about everybody, including Ayaka, his family, and everybody. And the good thing in occupational safety and health is that it's all of professionals are together. For example, engineering and professor and psychology and doctors, everybody's together because everybody has different needs in their profession and their majors, right? So occupational safety and health is for all of these professions, all of them. And I really like this cycle because they show how the things works. For example, when we say conduct safety audit and identify clients' needs, because we are talking about companies. So if I have a company and I provide for boom, holidays, a good salary, and health insurance and everything, what should you give me back? So I have to say what she needs, because she has to, I want to her motivated and with creativity for my company, right? So it's kind of catch-22. It's kind of, I help her, but she has to help my company too. So we have to know first what she needs, what the employees need, because each company are different. Guys, if you have some question, you can ask, okay?
So so you said, so you want her to be happy, so she will be productive for your company, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wondering, maybe you'll say it later, but I'm just wondering, how much is up to the company, right? Each company has different, benefits or something. Or how much is government policy? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, maybe later you can answer, I don't know.
During the history, we have some movements and protests that make employees have rights. So everybody, every employee, they have a code with laws and rights. So they have to know what he has like a right. For example, I had an accident in my job. Of course, the company will be responsible for me, depending on the accident. Sexual harassment, for example, the company is responsible. Things like this. But it's a really good question, because while I was researching, each company has our culture in health and safety. So depend of many things. Depend of, for example, hours for work. In my country is different. In Japan is different. Here is different. So we have to be adapted in the company you are working for. So have some, I can say, main rights, main laws. It's for everybody, and you can see in the code and everything, but has different. And it's pretty much up to the company. So, some companies you can do something and you can't do something. So it's, you have to be into the company culture. So.
Okay. But I mean, it must be different depending on the country also, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, for example, in Canada, if you go on to any kind of construction site, you have to wear a helmet.
Yes.
That's the law. So every company, they must obey that law. But maybe in Brazil, it's different. For example, in Japan, I was surprised the construction workers, they wear the tabi shoes
Yes.
with the toe is
Exposed.
yeah. I was very surprised. But in Canada, they have to wear the steel.
I think that should be a universal, actually.
Yeah.
It should be a universal. If it's not happening in Brazil, it's probably because it's not enforced.
Yeah.
Because of maybe just so many rules sometimes in some countries, they're not very enforced.
Right.
Otherwise, like safety, workplace safety is almost like a universal. Yeah. It's part of the trade. When you're learning the trade, you have to learn those WHO.
That could be another question. Yeah, they might be on the books, right?
Yeah.
In Brazil probably is, but it's not enforced. Yeah. Anyway.
Nowadays, one profession is becoming popular. It's kind of fiscalization.
What's it called?
Like you make a fiscalize.
Okay.
Fiscalization?
Yeah, you understand?
Like money-wise?
No, it's kind of, I'm gonna check if your company, everybody's wearing boots and everything, all the security equipment.
It's like an audit.
Auditing, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
like this.
Auditing.
And this is actually not new, but like how the employees are, they learn how to complain and how to get their rights. So the company too. The company said, okay, you have your rights, but you have to do the correctly thing. You have to wear all your equipment, because if something happened to you, we are not responsible. Like this. So the program of development is after this meeting with people from different majors, and they talk, they share experiences, and they share thinking, different kind of points of view too. And for me, the most important things is this implementation education goes to training. Because it doesn't matter if you make a plan for some company. Okay, we have a company with some communication problem. Okay, we hire specialized, and they go there and they see what the company needs, and they give, the project is this. Now give them money, okay, but so what happened after? People have to be trained to this, because this can happen 2 years after, 1 year after, 6 months after. So it's not only once. It's a continuous plan. It's a continuous change. You have to keep in doing this, always training people, because different issues can come up. But this conception about occupational safety and health is not new. Born in 1950, after the World War, and the International Labor Organization started to be aware about this. People were dying. Many mining accidents, because at the time people work too much, more than 14 hours per day. They didn't have any rights. So for they get their salary, they have to work like the boss said. I want to, you work all day. Okay, I have to. And it's really related with the history of work. When child weren't considered child, they were considered adults. So you can do the same. You could do the same job as a child at 10 years old. So the bad condition of involved child and woman makes them become sick, because mining you feel it's a hard job and without protection, and of course sickness and accidents all the time, and people start to die because of this. And the company was like, we are losing our employees, so we have to do something. So they start to talk about the government, and they start to worry a little bit about it, because they are losing employees, right? And of course productivity.
And it's a legal issue too, where the company might be negligent in terms of protecting the employees. So for example, there's a faulty mine, and you still insist that your workers go in there to mine, and then the walls or the ground fell off or gave in. See, so there's a liability question too on the company.
When the American economy was expanded, nearly 9 million of families migrate to America, and they were looking for a better condition of life and jobs, right? I'm not sure about better condition of life, but jobs, of course, they could get good, they could get jobs, but they start to complain, because even though they have jobs, even though they have money, they weren't really happy. They didn't have holidays. They work all day long, even though sick or not, they have to work. So they start to thinking like, what should I do this? And nobody cares if I get sick or something like this. So they start to build unions. And the company at the time, they didn't care, and they didn't want to care. So what happened? Strikes. So if we stop work, probably the company will feel less productivity. So they will make them aware about it, wake up them. And the government also was looking for these movements, and they created the first law. Was inspection starts at the time. What was inspection like? I work with a machine, and the machine is broken, and I don't know. So I'm going there to work with the machine, and something happened. Some accident happened. What happened now? I'm going home, and I don't work, I don't get money, nothing. So this law is for inspection the workplace. If everybody's okay, if everybody's sick, if the machines are working well, it's okay? Okay, bye. The inspection was like that. Do you think they decrease accidents?
Cause accident?
If this inspection decrease accidents?
Yeah, I will assume so.
A little bit, because they didn't train people to work with these machines. So, how you know the machine is broken? If you don't use and feel that it's broken. So they didn't train people how to use the machine, how to deal with problems, how to don't do this, don't do that. At the time, didn't have any signalization like, be careful, something like this. Nothing. So explosion all the time and people dying. You can see here an explosion. And what's common? If you're working a mining, of course, you or your friends or somebody, you'll be hurt. Was a train accident in New York was really famous when we talk about occupational health and safety. And 14,500 people died, mostly of women and child. So these wives of the guys who works in the mining, so of course everybody cares. And they said, why this happened? And they start to investigate it, and was like, most of the exits was locked. So they couldn't escape, of course they died. After that was a huge repercussion. Everybody talked about it at the time. So the first commission of inspection was set up, and they start to check about exits, and it's all the products, is everything there, many securities. They start to be a little bit more. And if you see all these improvements, what happened when something bad happened? An accident, okay, let's put some people to care about. Another accident. And comes the war. The war was a huge, huge, huge moment for health and safety, because powerful force was an important issue, and prevent accident was the first thinking, because people were working, making gum for work, right? So if I get sick, or if I don't feel well, if I'm not going to work, what happened? One people less production. So when they start to care about the employees, it's not because I want you in my company, healthy and safe. No, it's because this will affect my production. So they start to worry about that. But otherwise, they were working about health and safety, even though the employees didn't know. Was good, because health and safety couldn't, at the time, have a, how can I say, was improvement, even though they're not focused on this. And the advertising was, save days, work effort. And they show people working, working, and working, and they give many things, many benefits for people to feel happy working for the war. And if you don't feel good, no, you have to feel good, you have to feel happy, because of production, not because of employees. But the end of war was also a huge improvement in our lives. The globalization, the explosion of new technology, invention, and chemical discoveries, and new dust and dangerous gases. For example, factories and laboratories, and everything was new, and the chemistry, engineering was in a really high point. But what happened? Okay, now we have people to work caring about machines and everything. But how about chemical things, gas, things like this? And you can, if you breathe this, you become sick. Not now, but 5 years later. So we didn't know this caused cancer. And nowadays we feel this, but at a time, no protection, no masks, nothing. So they start to build in these things. It's another necessity, because before was machines and mining accidents. Now it's something more sophisticated. It's factories and laboratories. In 70s was a good time, because people were used to protest and for many things. So health and safety at the time was really popular. So the strikes became stronger, and people knows and people became aware. Even though they are not employees, they become aware about this. And when they start to work, they already know what happened in the company and what they could do or couldn't do. So silicosis was a sickness, was the high point was in 1979, and was for employees who works without any protection in small companies or factories. And the employees, they start to be aware about this years later, because they work 10 years in constructions and with chemical dustings, but they don't feel nothing. Like 10 years later, they retired and go home and start to feel bad and said, no, I got sick for that company that I used to work, but now I'm not working anymore. What can I do? I have to pay for everything, expensive in the hospital, everything. So they start to fight with this. Even though I'm retired for this company, even though I'm not working anymore, I got the sickness there. So they are responsible for this, right? So they start to fight with these rights and claim for securities and benefits, universal movement. And the union becomes stronger, because everybody could feel this, could breathe this atmosphere for protests. And of course, new laws become popular, and the companies start to be a little bit flexible for the employees, because they said, if I don't help them, if I don't agree with them, I'm gonna lose my employee. Jumping to present. Nowadays, we have also important issues. Nowadays, we have improved a lot about securities, about equipment, about everything. But what do you think is the big challenge in occupational health and safety nowadays?
Sexual harassment?
Yeah, it can be.
Stress.
I agree with you guys, because I think nowadays the big issue are things that we can't touch, that we can't see. For example, relationships. Deal with people is really difficult. It's really important, but it's really hard. You deal with people that you don't have the same thinking, it's worse. And this person is your boss, it's worse, right? So I think it's something that it's a big challenge nowadays, because we have improved a lot in equipment, in chairs, computers, and equipment. But how about us? How about our relationship? We are losing this. Nowadays we can work in a computer, and I don't need to talk with my coworker. If I have some question, I can Google it. If my computer broke, I can ask somebody to fix. I don't need to talk with him, but I'm wrong, because we are losing something that is really important. Is there interpersonal contact? It's really important, and computer don't replace this. discussing question. What do you think that can improve your workplace? When I said workplace, I'm not only talking about place like this. I'm talking about relationships, anything you think. And if you don't work in your student life or in future work, or what do you think could be a problem in your workplace? Somebody?
Plus, so you said relationships is one, right?
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, okay, so you said relationships is one problem. So, okay. Let's see. Maybe people are using social media too much. They're not talking to each other, they're just texting or something. Do you understand what I mean? So maybe that's one problem.
They are losing the contact, right?
Yeah, they're not, people are not socializing.
Physical contact.
Yeah, they're not socializing face to face. They're just in their own world. They're just searching the internet, texting each other. They're not talking, they're not going to lunch together. Maybe that's a problem.
So is that, so what's the advantage? Like you want to look at somebody who's doing something on that, to look at the advantages, which one is more therapeutic? You know, if maybe texting even has therapeutic value, you know, if you can relate to people sometimes with all the tension in the office, but you can relate, you know, at a more non-physical level, maybe in an electronic level.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably want to look at the possible pros and cons of that. You know, the need for physical, the advantage of physical interaction as against electronic, internet kind of social networking. You know, see which one might help if one is taken away from the normal office relationship, or make the office more formal and therefore more productive. That is your call as a psychologist, as you know, is working in the area, to be able to come up with some findings in terms of which will be good after the question at least. To educate class.
I'm thinking that if we can control this,
Can't control it?
if you can control it.
What?
You mean you can't take away social media or something?
I mean, I can control myself, but how about my relationships, my co-workers, for example? For example, in an IT company, I'm working with my computer and more 3 computers, more 4 computers here. I worked for 5 years. Next to me has my co-worker. I don't know even his last name. I don't know if he's my neighbor. I don't know if he's boyfriend of my best friend. I don't know. I don't care, right? I have to work and then go home. This is becoming so common, and we are not realize this so much. And this can be a big problem. Of course, the company will improve because everybody's working, the productivity is going well. How about us? We are not robots, we are not computers, we are people, right? And we can't forget this.
I think a lot of companies do try to get their workers together though, right? They go out to have dinner. Sometimes they even go away for the weekend. You know, so some companies do try.
Office parties,
Office parties.
interaction.
Yeah.
And in Japan, we used to go to the travel to the overseas.
Really?
Yes, overseas. It's common.
Wow.
With coworkers? Yes, the companies travel.
Oh.
My father went to the Hong Kong or Thailand
Oh, really?
as a company travel.
Okay. Wow.
So a long time ago, the Japanese a company is like family, but nowadays not. But still we have, some kind of activity to and have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I think in Japan it's very different. I mean, people even live in the same building when they work at a company, right? Company dormitory.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah, sometimes.
Quite often, until they're 30 years old, until they get married, they live in the same. So it's almost too close.
Yes.
Too cross.
You're kind of always together, you know.
The company is part of your life, like.
Yeah, you work together
90%.
for 10 hours a day, and then you go home and you live in the same building. You're kind of always together. Company apartment, yeah. So, anyway,
I was reading an article and they said that companies are hiring people to make this. For example, I have a company, but people are not meet to each other. They don't have like the communication is hard. They don't talk too much, so they hire somebody to make this interaction, like an employee. Like, let's do something ice break before work. Let's do something together. So this job it became popular in North America. This responsibility is not only because I'm going to say it's too much work to do. It's not easy to deal with people, but they make them to be more society.
more what?
More sociable.
Yeah, social. Yeah. Like I said, nowadays the focus on behaviors, relationships, stress, how to deal with people, and psychological health, it's too much. It's too much now. It's much more than before. And we don't know. We know why. We just talk about it. And because of this, they built the safety committees. It's like they have a responsibility to review and development on safety practice, investigate into the hazard, introduction new plan, equipment investigation, new chemical raw material, training and introduction programs, and gathering facts and statistics. For example, this is not only one person can do. It's different, one group of different people. When I mean different people, I'm not talking about one from Japan, another from Africa, another from France. No, I'm talking about people from different majors, from different experiences, different works, and they can combine and they can try to find a good option and a good strategy for the company. And the organization strategy deal with important issues and different issues. Because even though we are talking about we are losing our social contact and physical contact, each company is different. Each company has their own culture, so we have to be into this. I can do a plan with you guys and okay, let's sell for that company. No, we don't know what they need. So we have to get into the company and talk, and this is not easy. And organization promotional activities to raise the general level of safety awareness in the workplace. Because it's not only solve the problem, it's to make people aware about the problem. Because I solve the problem, then after I have to come back and do the same thing. No, because if you solve the problem and you make people aware about the problem and you make training with them, probably, of course, another issues will come out, but different, not the same.
Prevention, yeah, prevention too.
Yes, now I'm gonna talk about 4 different countries, and not the history because it will be boring and long, but different points and specific points that I found is really important. For example, in Japan, the silicosis laboratory was founded in Kinugawa, right? In 1949. Around the world, the silicon was famous 70s to 80s. But in Japan, in 49, they already had a laboratory. So it's something that Wow. And all of the countries, when they discover this sickness, they come to Japan and they start to ask help for Japan. Because Japan, they start to research how they got sick, how is the treatment, what can do for protect and for stop this. So it's really important for the health and safety in Japan and in the world too. In 1986, they started the exchange. Labor unions made reduced working hours. Japanese working hours have been gradually decreasing. Before was 6 days per week, and now, according to the law, you have to work 5 days, and you can work 2 days, 2 Saturdays per month. But also today, this is a kind of tricky because many companies they make agreement with their employees. Okay, you can work 5 days, but you don't have paid like if you work 6 days, of course. So some employees they decide to work more and get paid more, of course. If they accept, it's okay. It's agreement with each company and each employee. But some companies in some countries you can't. Korea. June 29 in 2008 was the 8th World Congress on Safety and Health at Work, signed so was really important this because you can imagine World Congress it's 4,000 people and 100 different countries. So it's many people, many people. And for you host this big event, you have to be prepared, right? So Korea changed a lot, and after that, they make new laws because they interact with different people with the same thinking, different thinking, and they change it so much. They prove a lot about health and safety. And the thinking was national preventive safety and the health culture. They make the health and safety like a culture, like a company culture. You have to go there and say, yes, I wear this t-shirt of my company because it's better for me, it's better for the company. It was the big challenge in Brazil. If we talk about Brazil and work and safety, occupational health, we have 3 clear moments. Was first, slave labor. Second, immigrant labor. And I would say that slave labor, immigrant labor in the beginning was kind of really similar. And then industrial labor. And was at this time the laws start to be built and people start to complain and everything. In 1968, they founded the ANANT. It's National Association of Occupational Health and Safety of Brazil. After that, everything becomes easier than before. They start to protect more the employees. In Canada, they have Canadian Center for Occupational and Health Safety, and was built in 1978. And we can also access the website, and it's really good because they have training. They have internships, they have so many information that I couldn't find from my country, for example, and it's really easy access. You can see everything, you can see code, you can see constitution, everything. And the works are covered by provincial or federal labor codes. So like here, even though for example, I'm Canadian and I work in a company, but I have to move for Quebec. Probably the law is different from my employer. And of course, different company. And even though the same country, they probably has different laws. And the main thinking is fundamental right to a healthy work environment. And they talk about environment, like I said before, relationships, workplace, hours, rights, company laws, everything is included here. How about predictions? Because we talk about past, about present, how about the future? I think the future, people will spend more energy in this thing to force the communication between communities. Like I said, different groups with different kinds of professionals can make a difference, and resulting in an open market area for training of people. I know in my country, this is a good business now, training people. Training people to workshop its company. If you have a company to do this, believe me, you'll be rich. Many people need this now. So, they have everything, but they don't know how to make the employees motivated. Do you think Google, they let the employees bring dogs from their offices because they are good? No, because they want the employees to be comfortable. So things like these, small things, can be a huge difference in the atmosphere, work atmosphere. New techniques for motivation employees in order to obtain a greater commitment for them. Of course, we are in a globalized world. Of course, nobody wanna do something if they don't expect nothing, especially companies. So it's up to you if you agree or no with the company laws, with the company culture, and with benefits. Nowadays, we are in the time that companies have to do something because of the law. So companies, they are showing to employees, since you get in the company, they show everything you can do, you can do. This is really important because sometimes you can go to the court for your company, but you don't have rights for something, and you think you have. So it's up to us to be aware about these things. And my last advice is safety matters. And thanks so much. I'm gonna ask if you guys have some questions.
Do you think is it hard to change the workplace nowadays?
Which kind of change?
For example, in Korea, health and safety for subway driver. Subway driver is nowadays is a big problem because they should drive subway underground for many hours. So some drivers committed suicide or because of they have mental disease, or they go in shame or something like that problem. But I don't know why it is hard to change like this situation more than just white collar job. Or
I understand.
Good question.
I would say that all of change around during the history about health and safety, they happen because something happened. What I want to say is like the first law was built because some accident happened and everybody pushed on this. So if they have a strong union, I think it's the first step for they try to change something. To be part of a strong union, to talk about their rights, to say that people are not enjoying this job. People don't like to work, and people become sick, and people are dying, and people are killing themselves. So I don't know about government in Korea. I don't know how is this relationship with union and government, but they have to be more active and if they want to change.
You have to be proactive.
Proactive.
Don't wait till something happens, but to act.
But I'm wondering, are the subway drivers, is there a number of hours that they are supposed to drive the subway, but they're working overtime?
There's the decided hour.
Yeah.
But I think it is they just keep doing. Not
That's right.
yes, the rest time is
Yeah.
less.
Right.
And, yes.
So officially, the government, you know, the law says they should only drive this much time.
Yes, they keep law. They
Right.
keep law, but I think the law should be changed.
Okay.
But I'm not
But
sure.
maybe they have the law, but the law, they're
Yes.
not enforcing it. They're working more time. think.
But it is not illegal exactly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They work legally,
Oh.
but yes, maybe.
They're working more to make more money over time.
So they work decided time for decided time, but it is too much.
Oh, okay.
Just yeah.
That's a bit weird. Okay, because I know in Canada, for truck drivers, they try to drive really long time and they get tired and fall asleep and it causes accidents. So they have a law. They have to stop and they have to
Yes.
prove that they have not been driving for too long. I mean, there's certain rules. Anyway, but it's kind of a balance about enforcement, I think. You know.
Yes.
So anyway.
But they agree to this?
But most of Korean subway is government.
Yeah.
Government subway, so
Right.
they work illegally. But yes, nowadays many people voice about this. Nowadays, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in Japan there was a similar story of the bullet train, Shinkansen, and there was a story of a guy who fell asleep in the Shinkansen. And-
Driver?
Yeah. Yeah, I forget exactly now, but I know there was a big story. He fell asleep, but they don't do that much. It's all kind of automatic,
Yeah,
but it's just kind of like this. The train's barreling along. Just sleeping. Anyway, do you remember that story?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Was there an artificial driver, like, you know, the plane where you have the robot car?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because if you see the train come by, you see the guy standing there with the hat, and you could just put a dummy there or something, right? Because they don't really do anything. So
Yes.
that's why it struck me as funny. Because I thought he could sleep if he wanted to. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Anybody else have a question?
Well, I have a few questions. I don't know if I should personally share that with you at some point. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the next day.
Or the next day, yeah.
The part 2, right?
Before your Friday, you have to
Yeah.
come in on Friday. So we'll have to do that maybe tomorrow at some point.
The next class will be more funny and more interactive with some activities. And
Yeah, we'll have a lot of questions then. A lot of
We'll
things
enjoy
to
it,
discuss.
yeah.
Right.
So is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else? Anyone? Are you finished?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.